Okay, when we're talking about decade of family farming, we should make sure that we include pastoralists. As usually, they are not included in farmers, but in this case, in this decade, we make sure that the pastoralists are considered as one of the main sectors or constituencies of the family farmers decade. And this is very important because they are really family farmers. They are working on a small scale producing, and it is the family who are working, and it is their life. It is not only business, it is their life, and they are dependent on this kind of work. It's their livelihood, so this is very important for pastoralists. We are talking about the issues that face the pastoralists. The main issue is land. Land is the basic need for a pastoralist to live. And so we make sure that they have control over their customary or traditional land in their traditional system of management and governance of land. Traditionally, the pastoralists, they have like all the land that they can use. They don't own. It is not private ownership. It is the use of the land, and it can be seasonal use of the land. It can be with other people. It's not only the land is not only one group's land, even for use. Different groups of people, they can use the land seasonally, and depends on the grass on different seasons, and they can even share the same land with other people, not only pastoralists. So what we need now to make sure that the traditional governance system be respected and legalized in the state and international laws, so that to make sure that they can continue their way of life. They are very important for the economy, for the culture, and for the environment of the world. They are the efficient investor in the world. They make a lot, they make much of nearly nothing. If you talk about desert, dry land, for the economy, they call it zero resources land. But for the pastorate, they make use of this zero resources, and they produce food, produce other products that benefit themselves and the others. If we don't protect them, their land governance, then we are bringing them to the cities, and they are there in the suburbs, and they are causing problems only, like many other people doing right now, unfortunately. WAMIP is World Alliance Ruled by the Indigenous People, and mainly pastoralist. The idea started, I think, 2004 in Durban. There was a meeting there, and a group of people started to talk about this. But then in 2007, we have an assembly in Segovia in Spain. We started the alliance. There are like 300 people gathered in Spain, and since then we have started the organization or the movement. The main objective of WAMIP is to make sure that theoretically all pastoralists are connected, so that they support each other, they learn from each other, they have a common platform to exchange and be together, to organize themselves. Since then, we have working mainly on the international level, because of unfortunately, the support is more on the international level. And then in 2013, we thought it is, the object is the pastoralist community, and they are spread out all over the world and in the remote areas. But they are the target, so that we need to go as close to them as possible. So we regionalized WAMIPs. So since 2013, we thought of different regions. We have like West Asia, North Africa, West Africa, South Africa, East Africa, Latin America, Europe, and many other regions. What we think is that if we need to make change, we need to go deeper and to localize our work. It is not easy. It is it's difficult, and it is more expensive because of the nature of the land or the livelihood that they have. We face, until now, we face a problem of funding our organization because of that. We don't have like a registered organization, but we call it like a movement, and this makes it difficult for us to get support. I would mention here there is some support from PKH, Pastoralist Knowledge Hub of FAO. There is some support of the IUC and Rangeland Initiative and World Initiative for Sustainable Pastoralism, the SGP Small GIF program. There are, from these organizations, we have some really good and appropriate support to the WAMIP in general and to pastoralist group. We believe that the decade is an opportunity for pastoralists. The issue is how to include the pastoralists. Yes, engaging them in the steering committee is, I think, one step. I think it's an important step, and it's the first step. But also to make sure that we have a program to reach as much as possible of the pastoralist communities. I know that this is something a little bit difficult, but this is not impossible. We need to make sure that most of the pastoralist communities are included, get aware of the decade, of the opportunities, and of their positive role. It is important, like I've already said about the organization, it is important to strengthen the pastoralist organizations on the local level, not only on the international level, but on the local level, because there you can get small investment and it has big impact, and it is big and direct impact. The other thing is that with this investment, small investment, you can replicate, because if a small group of pastors succeeded in a remote area somewhere, then it is easier to convince other people, other pastors, to replicate the success story. But if you are talking about international organization or working on an international level, it's not easy to convince small communities to replicate. So it's important to make sure that we focus on small local communities to get the change. We participated in several dialogues, but this is on like international level, like on the FAO level, on like small producers, connecting them to the market, for example, which is very connected to the family farming and to the pastoralists. We were part of the consultation on the VGTT, and we believe of the importance of these policies, guidelines, and there are many other tools that we have participated in a way or other. But the most important thing is how to implement that, how to make sure that the state, our states, they adopt these policies and make it in the legislation, and so that it affects the real life of the people on the ground. There are many good things in the world, in the sky, but we need things on the ground. When I talk about family farming, when I talk about smallholders or small producers, I think it is the same. I think there are many different terms, but they are the same for me, at least. So when we talk about the pastoralists in this case, yes, they are small. This is the nature of their way of life. They have small livestock number usually, and they most of the time they produce for themselves or their territory or the people around them. They don't think of the market, Traditionally, they even give the milk, not sell the milk, for example. Of course, things are changing, but mostly the mentality is to produce for self-sufficiency more than for marketing. In regard to land issue, yes, it is very important when we talk about land. Land is the basic need for a pastoralist. Without land, we cannot live. We cannot, and it's for everybody, but it is more essential for the pastoralist in particular. And again, it is the way that pastors think of land. It's very important, but it's not owned. The use of the land is very, very important, and so the protection of the right of the use of the land is very, very important. Communication is very important because, as you may know, that we are everywhere in the world. I can say we are spread and we are in remote areas. So, and we have different cultures. We have different languages, and most of the time we have local languages. It's rarely that you can find us speak like English, Spanish, or there are, of course, but even we have certain like accent, or when we talk about languages, and some people they have language that they are not, we don't know them, So this is where there is a problem when we're talking about communication, because it's not easy to have a certain message in certain mean to provide to everybody. You have to adapt the message and to have the means and the language for different people. What we face now is that it's easier for me, because I speak English, for example, to attend this meeting, and the same for the people who are speaking French, Spanish, and main languages or international language. But when you go back to your communities, it's difficult even to speak the same language and the same level of the languages. Even we speak Arabic, but of course there are different levels of the language that we can use. You can use it on an international level, but when you're talking to the local community, there should be different kind of language, level of language. So we need to consider that. And at least from our part of the world, we have a problem with the language. Even with Arabic, we could, when you are in a meeting like this, there are many people who should come here to represent the pastoralist, but because of the language, they cannot come. And it's sometimes impossible. Like, for example, when it's an official meeting for the FAO or the UN agencies, there was translation into Arabic. But if there are many other important meetings or events that there is no translation or interpretation to Arabic. So this is not only for Arabic, for other languages that officially international, And also the means. There are some areas of the world there is no mobile networks. So what is the way to reach them? How to reach them? People say, okay, we have a platform, e-platform on the internet, but is it possible? It is accessible for everybody. We need to make sure that we develop a kind of a communication in a ways and means that suits different, or like tailored to different groups of the people according to their situation and the way we can reach them. Of course, the engagement of the pastoralists, first of all, to get involved, to get aware of what's happening now. I don't know how many people of the pastoralists are aware of what's happening now. To be honest, it's not easy for us as WAMIP to communicate with all the pastors group in the world. It's big number of them are not really connected. We face this problem, and this can be solved, I think, with this support of the decade, to reach more pastors group, to make sure that they are aware of what's happening here in Rome and in other events that impacts them positively or negatively. So awareness, to organize them locally so that making it easier for them to communicate on the national level. Then in the national level, they have a network, for example, that represent them for a regional, then for the international. This is a big task.